Hello. Welcome to the Epic Time Walks channel. A young man proudly poses in his horse-drawn wagon in Tonopah, Nevada, circa 1900. The scene captures the pioneering spirit of the region, which was at the height of the Silver Rush, attracting adventurers and workers seeking fortune in the arid American West. Around 1900, in northeastern Piscataquis, Maine, a group of hunters poses in front of a rustic cabin displaying the deer they harvested during the expedition. This historic 1908 postcard takes us to Rhyolite, Nevada, where Lucy B. Lane stands proudly at the center of a group outside the family business. The Lane store catered to the needs of the time, offering hay, grain, gas, and a reflection of early 20th century life in this Nevada mining town. Around 1890, three men posed beside an ox train in a dense forested area near Hayes Mill in the High Sierras, Tulare County, California. In 1900, a steam tractor transports borax in Southern California. This mineral, composed of boron, oxygen, and sodium, was widely used in the production of soap and glass, as well as playing a significant role in the export trade of the time. A farmer and his family stand in front of their sod house in Cherry County, Nebraska, in 1900. In Mason County, Kentucky, in 1890, a seasoned hunter poses alongside his loyal hunting dog. Together, they form a duo that reflects years of companionship and work on the trails. The bustling routine of Franklin Street in Natchez, Mississippi, in the year 1900 reveals an authentic portrait of life in the southern United States. Miners pose for a photograph in front of their rustic cabin in Colorado in 1890, reflecting the harsh reality of life in the mines. Above the door, a hanging horseshoe symbolizes the pursuit of luck in a challenging and unforgiving environment. Photographed in 1862 during the American Civil War, this image shows a group of enslaved African Americans gathered around a horse-drawn wagon with a building in the background. The photograph was taken at Casino Point Plantation, owned by James Hopkinson, on Edisto Island, South Carolina. Crowds fill the city of Reno, Nevada, for the historic fight between Jack Johnson and James Jeffries on July 4, 1910. On that day, Reno became the epicenter of the sports world, with thousands arriving by train to witness the heavyweight showdown. A special arena built in the heart of the city gathered around 20,000 spectators for the clash. In 1902, a wagon loaded with a massive log is pulled by 8 horses along a railway in California, while 2 men skillfully coordinate the operation. In 1908, a boy poses next to a calf, possibly accompanied by his younger siblings, in front of the family farmhouse in Chester, South Carolina. An African-American settler family proudly poses in front of their dugout home in Guthrie, Oklahoma, Logan County. In 1889, the image symbolizes the resilience and hope of these pioneers during the land rush as they sought a new beginning in the American West. In 1910, in the vast territory of Utah, 3 men, a woman, and a dog, possibly family members, pose beside a covered wagon. 3 mail carriers from Washington, D.C. pose for a photograph around 1915, overloaded with Christmas packages and letters. A scene from 1890 in Asheville, North Carolina, captures a moment of everyday life from that era. At the center of the scene, a covered wagon pulled by 3 oxen stands out. While one remains standing, the other 2 lying on the ground, visibly exhausted. Photographed in 1911, this image depicts a father with his older children in front of their home in Fry's, Virginia, while the mother and younger children are absent. In 1920, a young woman poses on the beach of Tidal Basin along the banks of the Potomac River in Washington wearing a swimsuit and holding her unusual pet opossum. The peculiar scene captures a relaxed and curious moment of the era. In an unidentified location in the United States in the early 1900s, railroad workers operate a hand car while installing new railroad ties on the track. In 1906, a family is photographed in front of their log home in the mountains of Asheville, North Carolina, during a day dedicated to washing clothes. In 1912, a rural family in Carleton County, Minnesota, enjoys a rare moment of outdoor rest surrounded by the tranquility of the countryside. Nearby, their dog and her puppies play close to a small wagon and a carriage, reflecting the simple daily life and deep connection to rural living. In the 1910s, an automobile is refueled in Akalaka, Montana, near a billiard hall, a bustling spot in small towns of the American West. In the 1880s, a settler couple poses alongside their young daughter on the vast American prairies, embodying the pioneering spirit of the era. In 1910, a milkman drives his horse-drawn wagon through the muddy streets of Iron River, Michigan, in an era when milk delivery was a daily household tradition. Around 1900, a family travels the roads of Auraria in Lumpkin County, Georgia, in an open wagon pulled by an ox. In 1908, a man poses with his wagon loaded with the first shipment of bottled Coca-Cola in front of the old bottling plant in Quincy, Florida. In 1909, a photograph captures two prisoners shackled with chains and iron balls as they sweep a street in Washington. Around 1900, a photograph captures cider vendors wearing blackface makeup in an unidentified location. At the time, both white children and adults engaged in this practice to participate in minstrel shows or private events. A photograph from July 16, 1914, captures three women in a women's swimming competition at Sheepshead Bay, Brooklyn, New York. This 1890 photograph shows two men standing beside two young women dressed in miners' attire at what appears to be the Consolidated Virginia Mining Company mine in Virginia City, Nevada. A young worker at a brothel in New Orleans, Louisiana, circa 1900, poses for the camera wearing her undergarments. The image offers a rare glimpse into life in the city's famous red light districts during an era of indulgence, mystery, and social taboos. A 1905 photograph reveals the interior of a modern gaming saloon in Colorado. During the final years of the Old West, in the right corner, the presence of the town sheriff adds a touch of authority to the scene, where gamblers and adventurers tested their luck amid the transition to a new era. A rare daguerreotype from the 1850s captures a lady from Woodville, Kentucky, firmly holding her Colt Pocket 49 pistol. This 1915 photo captures the Verdi Lumber Company store in Winnemucca, Nevada. Wagons are loaded with lumber and ready for delivery, a snapshot of everyday life in the early 20th century. Cowboys gather around a chuck wagon during a cattle drive in northwestern Colorado in 1895. The fearless cowgirls Mabel Tompkins, Gertie Davis, and Miss Hutton pose for a photograph during a break on the Miller Brothers' 101 Ranch Wild West show tour in Oklahoma, 1907. In the 1920s, the San Francisco police were caught escorting three detained women in a paddy wagon, accused of wearing swimsuits deemed inappropriate by the standards of the time. Located in the first building erected in downtown Craig, Colorado in 1889, the Ledford and Kittle Saloon was by far the most popular bar in Craig's early days. Due to the need to keep their often rowdy guests in check, it was not uncommon for saloon owners to become the popular choice for sheriff. This was the case for John Ledford. In 1917, on the snow-covered streets of Boston, Massachusetts, a horse slips while trying to pull a cart.